Okay, so when we finished up the previous screencast, you were drawing angles in standard position. So I'd like you to try that again without my help. I'd like you to draw on the same coordinate plane a 300 degree and a negative 60 degree angle, both in standard position. So draw an X and Y axis and sketch those for me. All right, let's see how you did. You'll notice that the 300 degree angle, the standard position, the vertex is at the origin and the initial side is on the positive x-axis. And then we traveled in the counterclockwise, which is the positive direction, 90, 180, 270. And then I've drawn this little 30 degrees here for you just to show you how far I've gone past the negative y-axis. This is not required. I just wanted you to know how I knew that 300 moved into the fourth quadrant. Negative 60 degrees, same initial side. The terminal side, we would travel 60 degrees in the clockwise direction. And remember to show the arrow showing your direction of rotation and that this is a negative angle. So I do want you to notice that the initial side is the same for 300 and negative 60. That'll be the same for every angle when you draw angles in standard position. But the terminal sides are also the same. Now, when we graphed or drew positive 150 and negative 150 earlier, the terminal sides were not in the same position. But in this case, they are in the same position. So I want to introduce some new terminology to you, and that new terminology is something called coterminal angles. Coterminal angles are angles that share the same initial and the same terminal sides, as in this case right here. What I'd like for you to do now is to draw a new X and Y axis and sketch 210 degrees in standard position. All right, let's see how you did. Here's positive 210 degrees in the standard position. Let's see if we can't figure out its corresponding coterminal angle, traveling in the positive direction. All right, let's try this. We know that if we travel, whoops, sorry about that. If we begin at 0 degrees, this would give us negative 90, and then negative, how do we figure out what that distance is? Well, remember the negative x-axis sits at 180 degrees. So what's the difference between 210 and 180? And if you said 30 degrees, you would be correct. So if this small angle is 30, then this distance is 60. Good. Okay, so this distance is 60, this distance is 90. So our coterminal angle is negative 150 degrees. These angles have the same initial side and the same terminal side. What if I wanted a coterminal angle that is positive, not negative like negative 150? Let's see how we would do that. So if I wanted to land on this same terminal side, I could travel all the way around the coordinate plane and then back again to that terminal side. So let's see what that gives us. If we travel around one time in the positive direction, and when we travel around one full time in the positive direction, you know that we've traveled 360 degrees. If we continue back to that terminal side, we've traveled an additional 210 degrees. So if we add those together, we have a coterminal angle of 570 degrees. So we have the same initial and the same terminal side, we've just traveled around an extra time. So we have an additional rotation. Well, I could continue rotating in the positive direction over and over and over. And every time I traveled an additional rotation, how many degrees would I add to the next angle measure? If you said 360, you would be correct. So an additional coterminal angle is 930 degrees. If I wanted another coterminal angle, I could add another 360 degrees. So an additional concept that you need to understand about coterminal angles is that coterminal angles will be the measure of coterminal angles will be a multiple of 360 degrees apart. And that's important to note.